people that I have ever run across. He's a 3-time Tony Award winner, and that's just the Tony Awards. He's won so many other theater awards. He's a playwright, he's a stage director, he's an author, he's a screenwriter, a documentarian, and he was the co-winner with Stephen Sondheim of a Pulitzer Prize for Sunday in the Park with George. If that's not enough, he's a notary public. I'm only kidding.
I'm still working on that.
Welcome, James. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
And the documentary. There we go. All right. Let's start again. I'm James Lapine. No.
You're welcome to it.
So I want to talk to you first. I think what we'll do, if it's all right with you and the audience, is chat a little bit about this wonderful documentary. Allow people in the audience, if they would like to get up and talk real loud and ask any questions that you may have. And then I'd love to chat with you a little bit about other parts of your career, particularly your relationship with Stephen Sondheim. And so, did this start with an invitation to lunch?
Yeah, it was a kind of unintentional movie, really. I just happened to have a new camera, so I just came over and she had invited me to lunch, and I just thought it would be fun for me to practice with my camera with her, and that's how it sort of began. And then I just kept coming back.
Over what period of time?
5 years.
5 years.
And then the interview was the 6th year.
And at what point in the process did the light click and you say, wait a minute, there's a real possibility of a documentary here?
Well, early on, HBO gave me some money to make a short film, and it wasn't a lot of money, but it was, money. And so 5 years later, they're like, I call them up after we got to the 6th year and saying, well, I have 22 hours of footage, and I don't think I can make a 45-minute short. So they didn't want to continue with the project, but at that point, I just had accumulated so many interview footage with her. And the thing is, she became more and more relaxed as we did it, and it was sort of hard to figure out how to do, because obviously each year was in a different place, and she looked different, and it took a while to get deeper with Rose. She's to open up to me and allow herself to kind of go to emotional moments that originally she didn't really want to talk about.
How personal was this to you?
Well, everything you do is personal on one level or another. I grew quite attached to her, just as a person, as a friend, because I found her inspiring. I just thought, this woman is indomitable, and she's 95 now and still going strong. And I thought there's something so amazing about her, and I was getting such pleasure just sitting and talking to her that I felt it would be of interest perhaps to other people as well.
It certainly comes across that way as a very personal attachment, and which makes it very special, very, very special. There was no preparation that you did for these sit-down conversations?
Nothing. Didn't really take notes. Didn't look at the material. And it was only every summer. So though it was over 6 years altogether, it was just during 6 summers, never during the rest of the year.
Right.
And there's a lot of great stuff that didn't make it into the movie, unfortunately. Then when I went back to HBO, I said I'd like to do it as a series of 6 one-hour episodes, because there was so much stuff. I thought it would be really great, but they didn't like that idea. So, and then I realized in the 6th year, the only way I could make sense of this thing was to put myself in it. So that all that interview stuff that starts the movie and the two of us at a table was the last thing we shot together. And then I made notes because I realized I've got to make some sense of all this, and I watched it all and figured out how to tie it together and weave it together and sat at that table, and that's how it came to be.
You certainly have a way of working with your elders, if I may. And not just in the case of Rose, but am I correct that Stephen Sondheim was 20 years your senior?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. I don't look at people and age, to be perfectly honest. I don't. I look at Rose and I watch her. I don't look at a person in her 90s. You know, there's some people who are 20 years younger than me that are older than Rose, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
Very stuck in their ways, and what I liked about her, and what I like about what I try to do in my own life, is just keep doing new things, you know, and meeting new people, and I think it keeps us all fresh and makes life interesting.
Well, having done a little homework on you, about to prepare for this program, I would note that you continually challenge yourself, and you go where the winding road leads, without a particular destination. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think I kind of follow my instincts, and I like doing things that I haven't done. So that's why doing something like this is something I've never done before. So it was really interesting to do.
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, please just stand up and call out your question, and be happy.
Wait 1 sec. We have a mic.
Oh, you have a microphone.
wow.
Okay, great. You're on the air.
I was just wondering if it's going to be available on streaming somewhere.
It is now screening on Amazon and Apple Plus. And you'd be very nice if you tell all your friends.
Tell
to
all
watch
your
it.
friends, right?
It's very hard. The documentary world is just exploded. There's so many documentaries in the world now, and it's exciting, but you have to really kind of fight to get your projects out there.
Do you think that's somewhat of a result of COVID? That there was a renewed interest in documentaries?
Well, possibly, but really it's because of the technology. Before, obviously when documentaries had to be made on film, it was a very expensive and long process, and you had to process the film. Now that everybody can do a documentary on their phone, or as I did with a little camcorder, it's quite different. So there's an explosion of them.
Yeah. Someone had a question there?
Yeah, my friend and I have just completed the book about Rose Styron.
Closer to the mic.
I don't think it's on.
Hello?
Yes,
Yes.
now we hear.
My friend and I just finished reading the book about Rose Styron, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about her career, because she was quite involved internationally, flying all over and can you talk
Yeah. Well, it's interesting about the book because she started to write the book after a few years that we began chatting. She said because suddenly she was remembering everything. So she wrote it down, and she worked on that book very, very hard. This is a person who doesn't like to sit still, you know, and if she has an excuse to go somewhere, she goes. I don't think she... she's been a widow for quite a while now, but I don't think she ever eats alone, whether it's lunch or dinner. Somebody's always at her house, or she's always going somewhere, and she's just a peripatetic person, and now it's a little rougher for her at 95. But, she still gets on planes and goes whenever she can.
So I have another question for you, James. Your early education and training was in photography and design. Correct. Has that played? It would appear to me that has played a role in this project and other projects.
Yeah, I think it was good training. I didn't realize it at the time, and had no intention of ending up in the theater. Filmmaking was something that always interested me, but but I liked having a camera around my neck because it allows you to kind of go places and do things and be around people and you sort of have an excuse because you've got a camera and looking to take pictures. And my graphic design background was very useful in terms of understanding design and how you where the eye goes and what you see and how you use color and language. And they all just sort of added up, these little things that I did that I didn't realize became quite a good education into what I ended up doing.
Obviously, yes. Were there another question? Someone standing
There's
there.
someone.
Okay.
Oh, right here. Yes.
Oh,
I'll repeat it. Go ahead.
Oh, well, she hasn't. He's picked on this lady.
Great question. What is the most surprising thing that James learned about Rose and learned about himself in this preparing this documentary? Thank you.
well, she had a really racy sex life, which was a bit of a surprise. And I didn't put a lot of the incidents in the movie, and her husband also. And there were a lot of things I learned from other people about Rose, but as you can see in the movie, the only other people I interviewed were those 3 grandchildren who happened to be standing on the lawn when I had my camera. But we went over to Carly Simon's. We did do a lot of interaction with other people, and then after a while, I realized I don't really want to do that movie. You know, I don't want to do Let's Go Visit Somebody Famous movie.
You talk about famous. She was comfortable with everybody. Right?
Everybody, and still is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did the Kennedy connection come about?
Well, first of all, Rose is like Zelig. You know that movie, Zelig?
Yeah, with Woody
She
Allen.
just was in the back. I always thought of her as like being in the background of history, you know. And the Kennedy thing was, I guess, from when she met them at the White House when Bill Styron was young. But she's a charmer. I think they met her and they wanted to be around
It's a
her.
magnet. It's a
Yeah,
magnet.
and then she became very, all these stories. I mean, Teddy Kennedy coming over after Chappaquiddick to her house. There's endless stories about all these people and their lives coming around. She just seemed to be everywhere when something incredible was going on. But I think what was amazing about her was this way she traveled all over the world, and sometimes in very dangerous situations for Amnesty International. And I wanted to ask her, did you do that to get away from your husband? Because I do think there might be a little bit of that. I think her youngest daughter didn't particularly appreciate that she was never at home. It's complicated. She's a complicated person, and she's not a perfect person by any means. But I didn't really want to be her shrink and analyze all this stuff. I just kind of wanted to let her speak for herself and let people who see it make their own assumptions or not about her.
I think you brought so much of her out in this documentary through your conversations with her. A picture is painted of an extraordinary woman, which she would not have painted herself.
No, I don't. She's extraordinary, but not known outside a fairly small circle. Yeah.
Right. Were there any other questions? Yes.
Oh, this poor woman has been standing up forever with the microphone.
You have better eyes than I do,
I
James.
just
Yes.
wanted to know if she's seen the film, and if she has, what was her
Has she
response?
seen the film, and what's been her reaction?
Well, it's funny. I showed her the film, and I was a little nervous, and she watched it, and we put it on a big screen, and she sat there, and it was over, and she said, "James, it's a wonderful movie. I just wish it was about somebody else." It's a pretty good line.
It's a great line. Yes, sir.
So maybe a weird question, but 22 hours of film reduced to, let's say, an hour and a half.
Right.
So 90% of the film is not there. And you still have it. But
I'll repeat
it's
this.
not gonna be shown. So what was that process like, or was it driving you mad? Because I would assume that you had to watch it over and over. And you're the editor, too.
Yeah, let me
Well, I
repeat
did
that
have
for
a-
everybody. 22 hours of film and having to reduce it to an hour and a half. What was it like having to get rid of or edit out so much of the stuff that was in the? Did I?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
It was interesting because you do an initial cut of the film, and I think it was 3.5 hours. So you keep doing this, and then you discover things like what I was talking about, Carly Simon and whatnot. Oh, I don't think that's the movie. And you start cutting that. Then you have to make the hard decisions about what to keep and what not. And I guess it's just personal. I just kind of chose the things I thought created a full portrait of her, even though there were some more funny or more interesting or more weird things going on at times. And it's a hard process, but you work with an editor. I have a terrific editor. He did the Sondheim movie that we talked about, and so there is a conversation going on with an editor about what this movie is, and I guess that's all I have to say on the subject.
Is there any similarity, James, between the editing process, as this gentleman raised the question, on something like this documentary, as opposed to you being the writer of a Broadway show, having this script in front of you, knowing that you've got something that, if you timed it out, perhaps when you first wrote it, it was 3.5 hours, and you got to do snip and you got to do.
Yeah, you're absolutely on the money. It's not that different than doing a play or a musical or whatever. You just start with a whole long thing, and then you start cutting it down and asking yourself, what's it about? The thing about this movie, which was odd, is we didn't really test screen it. We didn't. Normally, you do test screens, and you get 60 people together or 40 people, and they actually fill out little cards. If you do it like Hollywood style. But this is a labor of love. I wasn't looking to. It was a relatively inexpensive movie, and I was very, very lucky to have somebody write a check for the whole movie. But when you do commercial films or even commercial documentaries, you have other people weighing in on what you're doing, and you have to take that into consideration. But this was a labor of love, and
you have this extraordinary ability to bring out from personalities something that they would not share under normal circumstances. This would be one example of it. I just read for the second time your book called Putting It Together. If you want to read a book that gives you the most wonderful look inside the creation of a Broadway show, in this case, Sunday in the Park with George, but the part of this that really got to me was, I don't think any of us will ever have, or maybe we will at some point through some other work that James is doing, to get to hear the voice in print of Stephen Sondheim as personal, as close, as open, as confessional, if you will, as you were able to get from him in conversations with him.
I was a priest. Did I tell you that? No, I
have some things I need to talk to you about.
Okay. Well, I seem to be somebody that people don't mind talking to, and I enjoy that. I really love asking people questions. If I could do anything in the world, I would be the next Charlie Rose and just sit at a table and get people that are interested in me and talk to them, because I don't like talking about myself, but I do like talking to people, and I could have been a shrink, but I don't like sitting still for that long, so I couldn't do that.
Anyone else have any questions about the film?
I do.
Yes,
Just a
please.
real I loved the documentary.
Thank you.
Loved the graphics. My question is, what are you doing? What are you working on next?
Question is, what is James working on currently or next?
Well, I'm actually working on another book, which is a kind of extension of the one I did, but more across the board shows that I've worked on a theater book, and that will be the last book I will ever write. And it's really hard to write a book. And well, the documentary of the book, I have another documentary that was a play first. I'm working with a woman named Anna DeVere Smith, who's a wonderful playwright.
Wonderful.
And it's about incident in 1970 called Radical Chic, when Leonard Bernstein threw a party for the Black Panthers to raise money. And we're now trying to see if we can make that into a documentary. So I guess those are kind of the three major things
That's
cooking up.
pretty good. Any other questions? Then I want to just sidle into your relationship with Stephen Sondheim, a genius by anyone's standard. But what really interested me was the point in his career that you and he came together. It was right after the very bad reviews and the very quick closing of Merrily We Roll Along, and he was down. And you came to him with a bunch of photographs, and one of those photographs was the Seurat photograph, a photograph of the Seurat painting, and it piqued his interest, obviously, and you turned him on again.
Yeah. It's all true. I was young at the time and also very new to the theater, so I wasn't particularly intimidated by him because I'd only seen one of his shows, actually, which was Sweeney Todd, which I thought was so amazing. I saw it several times, but I was more of a kind of downtown guy, not a Broadway guy for sure. But we just hit it off. I don't know what else you can say, as I just came over to meet him and we just started talking, and I feel like we never stopped talking about everything.
Well, you did 3 major shows with him. First being the Sunday in the Park with George.
Into the Woods.
Passion.
Passion, right.
And along the way, you and he scooped up a lot of awards. Which is,
you know what? He became a great friend, and I think we never had an argument ever, or even he used to go by the theory that whoever cares most wins. So when we were discussing ideas or arguing about a piece of work or a song or scene, you just keep talking and talking and talking, and eventually you would realize, okay, he cares more about this than I do, so Godspeed. It's just kind of, but we had a lot of fun. We enjoyed each other's company, and I know he's a great genius, but he was just a great guy. And,
But his way of working, I would think, for someone other than you, might have put a lot more pressure than it put on you, which his way of working, correct me if I'm wrong, was that he wanted you to define the character, you to set the setting, and then he'll write the song.
Yeah. He didn't really have ideas for shows. I mean, or he had a couple of shows. Sweeney Todd was one that he wanted to do because he saw the play Sweeney Todd, but he depended a lot on his collaborators to create the story and create opportunities for him to write songs. And I think it's why his work is so brilliant, is because it's very woven into the story he's telling, the songs. They're just not songs. You go to musicals, and then somebody breaks into song and they dance, and and these are more driven by character and delving into kind of deeper psychological things is what he loved to do. By the way, he was not a big commercial writer. He obviously had great success in the sense intellectually, but he was never... he'd Send in the Clowns was, I think, the biggest song he ever wrote.
A personal kick that I got was, I believe it was City Center when they do their revivals.
Right.
So one year they did Merrily We Roll Along.
Oh, I know.
I loved it.
I'm glad you said that because I directed it. Thank you.
I know. I know that. I'm coming to that.
Oh, okay. I just didn't want you to say something.
No. I loved it. No, the critics did not. They picked on the idea of I don't have to get into it with you. I sat down that night. I was so moved by that show that I wrote him a beautiful letter. 2 days later, I got a response from him of how appreciative he was that somebody in the audience saw in it what he felt and what he knew was. And now It's so sad that he didn't live to see that it's one of the highest grossing shows on
I
Broadway
know, it's
today.
crazy. Absolutely
Right?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, thank you all for coming tonight.
Hey,
Really,
this
really
has
wonderful.
been great, James. You're wonderful. It's been my privilege and honor to sit here with you. Really.
Well, this is great for the ego. Come around more often. Thank you all.